Hello, everyone. Good to see you. Thank you for being here with us.
Warm, warm welcome to each and every one of you. We're so happy you're here at the March Beloved Community for Engaged Spirituality Gathering. We meet monthly on Saturdays from 11 to 12:30, and we're so happy to have you here to really celebrate and learn from the life of an amazing Buddhist woman teacher, Dipa Ma. And we're so grateful to Amita Schmidt for being here with us. We're going to introduce her in a little bit, but we just want to make some opening announcements and to let you know that our next gathering is April 25th. And we have the great pleasure and honor of welcoming the Honorable Andrew Young, Ambassador Andrew Young, who was a close confidant to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., a friend of our families, and um, ambassador to the UN, mayor of Atlanta. He ran for governor of Georgia, but did spent a lot of his life, not only, in civil rights, but after that in uplifting people all over the world, especially in Africa. So he's 95. He just turned 95. So we're very grateful that he has agreed to join us next month. And the chat, the link to that to register is in the chat. The conversation is called An Easy Burden, an intimate conversation with Ambassador Andrew Young.
And so, just a sort of reminder about what these community gatherings are all about and who we are. Uh, this gathering and all of our gatherings are open to all. They are held in the spirit of deep ecumenism. Whatever your background or religious affiliation, whatever spirituality or practice you are exploring or have, you are welcome here. You do not need to belong to any particular faith tradition to take part. At the same time, Kaira Jewel and I, whenever we teach, we are grounded in our traditions. Kaira Jewel is a Buddhist teacher. I'm a Christian priest, and we offer what we've learned from our traditions, not as something to impose, but as resources we have received from those in whose footsteps we try to follow. And from there, we sort of keep pointing towards what Howard Thurman named so beautifully, the importance of tending your inner life. Um, and so we are very grateful that you are here with us and that we can gather here each month and learn together from wonderful practitioners, activists, and friends, just like we are gathering today.
And so we invite us all to take a moment to pause and to feel our body, to feel our breathing, and to connect with the land that supports us right in this moment, to just appreciate what's being um, all the life, all the beings that are supported along with us in wherever we find ourselves on the planet, to connect with the earth and the support of the earth. For many of us in the um, northern hemisphere, this is the season of spring, and um, Many, many forms of life are beginning um, to arrive and to show themselves. And so just checking in with yourself and seeing what arises in your heart in response to this prompt. What is wanting to be born in you at this time? What is wanting to flower or arise or express itself in your life right now? And this could be responded to in so many different ways. Even a color, an image, or a sound um, might capture, might express what's arising for you. So if your eyes were closed, you could gently open them, and we'll take that as a opportunity to briefly check in the chat and share what is wanting to be born in your life right now. And Adam and I will read out a few of these. So inner calm, openness, expansion, love for the world, new beginnings, understanding and compassion, steady, loving presence, freedom, care, security, spring growth of yellow daffodils. I'll let Adam share some more.
Ease and calmness, peace, tranquility, and new beginning, deeper looking, creativity, warm open heartedness, deep healing. Let's just take all of those in, grounding ourselves in some of those intentions.
And so we'll turn to Dorothy to offer some announcements. Our wonderful support person and friend on the path, who, just like Amita, has woken up super early in Hawaii to be with us today. We're so grateful.
Good morning, everybody, and so welcome to be here, and I'm happy to be here as well. We ask that you stay muted and, come on camera so we can see you, especially me. I see your names, and I'd love to just know who you are, and it helps to build community and connection. I'm also going to close the chat during meditations, and then I will open the chat up again. If you really need anything, go ahead and just message me directly if you missed a link or if you have any questions. That way we can keep the chat just to the minimum. Thank you. Have a great session.
Thank you, Dorothy. We also just wanted to say, to protect the privacy and integrity of the teachings, and the privacy of everyone here, we ask that you don't record or redistribute any session. Thank you.
And so now we'll spend a few minutes in meditation. The way that today will unfold is I'll start us with a meditation for about 10 minutes or so. And then after that, Kaira Jewel will welcome and introduce Amita. And then we will engage in a conversation with Amita, Kaira Jewel, interviewing her. And then after that, we'll open it up for a conversation. So why don't we just start with some centering? I would like to just simply invite you to sit in a way that is stable and that makes you feel at ease. If you feel comfortable, closing your eyes and just allowing your body to settle. And to begin with, bring your attention to your breath. Breathing in, notice that you are breathing in. Breathing out, notice that you are breathing out. The breath is already here. Life is already here. Breathing in, feel the body sitting. Breathing out, allow the body to soften. Just feel the weight of your body. Feel the support beneath you. Acknowledge that the earth is holding you and that you are being supported. And now I would like to invite you to gently open your awareness to notice all the sounds. Just let them come and go. Also notice all the sensations in your body. Realizing that this moment is not empty. It is full of life, full of movement. And now, having acknowledged all of that, simply come back to the breath. Breathing in, silently saying, I am here. Breathing out, this moment is enough. Breathing in, I am here. Breathing out, this moment is enough. And just staying with that. You are here and life is here. And now I would like to invite you to gently shift from noticing to receiving. Let the breath come to you. Let this moment come to you. You are not creating this moment, you are receiving it. This breath is given, this life is given. If it is helpful, you can say, breathing in, I receive this moment. Breathing out, thank you. Breathing in, I receive this life. Breathing out, thank you. And now you can just simply spend a few moments resting in the sacredness of this gift that is your life, of this gift that is this very moment, of this gift that is this community and many other communities that you are connected to. Just simply resting in all of that and allowing all of that to hold you with gentleness and care and love. Just simply resting in breathing, in receiving, in giving thanks. And then, whenever you're ready to conclude our meditation, just begin to gently return, feeling the body again, feeling the space around you. taking one deeper breath, and then slowly opening your eyes. And then maybe just looking around the room and sending everyone a silent blessing, a smile, a sense of gratitude for being able to share in community together. Okay, thank you for meditating with me. And now I'll pass it on to Kaira Jewel, who will introduce Amita.
Thank you so much, Adam. I really needed that meditation. It's such a lovely moment of really connecting to the power of this community and just really dropping into how um, we've been holding each other across quite a few years now. And just really, really grateful for each and every one of you for being on this journey with us. So I am deeply, deeply honored and grateful to introduce Amita Schmidt. Welcome, Amita. Amita has been teaching Vipassana meditation for over 30 years, and she was a resident teacher at the Insight Meditation Society, a place I also love to teach at when I am invited. She is a licensed clinical social worker in Hawaii and a certified internal family systems therapist. She's also the author of Dipa Ma, The Life and Legacy of a Buddhist Master. So, here's just in case you want to see this beautiful book. This is really a book that has deeply inspired many, many people. So thank you so much for writing, gathering the stories and pulling it together. And just again, thank you for joining us at such an early hour for you. We really appreciate it. So if I might just begin, so I'll ask Amita some questions, and then there'll be space for you all to ask questions and engage in conversation with her. So I would love to know your personal connection to this amazing teacher. Like, what first drew you to write about Dipa Ma? And, was there a moment when you knew her story needed to be told?
First of all, thank you for having me and for you and Adam work so well together with such a beautiful intro and meditation. So thank you. And welcome everybody that's here. It's an honor to be here. As far as the question about Dipa Ma, so my first 3-month retreat as a meditator was in 1989. Gosh, that's so long ago. And she was supposed to come that year, but she actually died right before the retreat started. She had been to IMS in 1980 and 1984, and they had a ticket for her to come in 89. So when they started the 3-month retreat, which was my first 3-month retreat, as I mentioned, there was just a lot of mourning and heartfelt stories about her and all the teachers there, Carol Wilson, Joseph, Sharon. They'd all studied with her, Michelle McDonald. So there was just an outpouring the whole 3-month retreat of beautiful stories about Dipa Ma. And at the end of the retreat, I just realized like, wow, somebody needs to write about her, because she's just passed and her story is really important. It's very unusual to have a mother, a grandmother, non-ordained person be so powerful and well known in the Dharma community. So after the retreat, I went to the teachers and I said, somebody should write about her. And they all were like, we're too busy. Sharon was too busy. Joseph didn't want to do it. And, Joseph, in his optimism, he goes, well, you should do it. And I go, well, I never met Dipa Ma. And he said, well, most people write about the Buddha and they never met him. And I was like, you got a point there. So I kept looking to see if somebody really wanted to do this project, and nobody did, which was odd, but to me it was odd. Um, so then I just embarked on this long 12-year journey of collecting stories and going to many different countries and talking to people all over the US. And it kind of needed 12 years just to collect all the stories. And it was a beautiful journey, and she kind of taught me in those 12 years a lot. I learned a lot from all the stories about her and all the people. So it was kind of like, I don't know, I think Deepa was a bit of a trickster. So it was kind of like she tricked me into, right, she kind of she would corral people to do things. And like she corralled me, her spirit, into writing this book. And then I ended up steeped in Dipa Ma and the Dharma for at least 12 years, not to mention all the years after the book was published. So it was a beautiful journey. I feel so grateful that she kind of like she did that. It definitely feels like she did it. I wasn't even a writer. I'd never even written anything. So it was it was classic Deepa Ma too. She would always challenge people like, you can do anything, you want. Anything's possible. And so for me to be writing this book about someone who wasn't even my initial teacher seemed absolutely outrageous.
Mm.
But then that was what she did. She encouraged people to go for the outrageous
Oh, what a
in their
wonderful.
practice. So it's the long answer.
That's so beautiful. She encouraged people to go for the outrageous. I love that. Um, I mean, it just that opening shows kind of her power, beyond her body. But I also really, you know, it also says a lot about you, Amita, and like your receptiveness, your willingness to be, invited onto this kind of very unexpected journey. So thank you for believing in yourself and taking that challenge on for all of our benefits. So I'd love to invite you to share more about who Dipa Ma was. For those who are new to her, how would you introduce Dipa Ma? Not just her life circumstances, but her essence as a practitioner and teacher. Um, yeah.
Well, she was a Bengali woman in northern India, and actually her family could trace its roots back to the Buddha. The Barua clan has roots all the way back to the Buddha in that area, India, which was Chittagong area originally. So she she kind of had an inkling to practice from the beginning, but because she was a woman in Indian culture and she was born in 1911. So in 1923 was when she was asked to be married off at 12. That was the custom then, and so they picked a husband for her at 12, and she was pulled out of school, and she was sent to live with her husband's in-laws, taken away from her family. And then she actually was sent to live with her husband in Myanmar, then Burma, at 14. So it was quite a shock for her because she was very connected with her family. And she had a lot of there was just a lot of grieving and adjustment for her in her life. And then later she had, it's kind of well known, she had a lot of suffering. She lost two children. She lost her husband. She had lots of health problems. She had typhoid right after she moved, when she was young, only like I think 15. She got very severe typhoid. And then she also went through World War II. Burma was occupied by the Japanese, and it was quite difficult there in the 40s. So she went through a lot, but she used that. She just kept this fierce dedication to the practice. She was prevented from meditating until, well, after her husband died, she just said, people kept saying, "You're too young." And then later it was like, well, you're a mom, because she did end up having a daughter that stayed alive. They kept saying, why she couldn't meditate. And after her husband died, she just thought, I'm di she was dying, actually. She was actually dying. So the doctors told her she didn't have long to live. So she thought, well, if I'm dying anyway, I might as well just go and die at the meditation center, she said, if I'm going to die. And her daughter was only about 7 or 8 then, so it was tricky because she had to find people to take care of her daughter. So she really had this determination to meditate. From when she was very young, she used to ask to go be with the monks. And again, people thought, they just didn't want young girls doing stuff like that. So she had to really persist. But she did persist, and her inclination, her urgency, if there was any message coming back full circle to what her message was, it was really like spiritual urgency. And I think she would want that for all of you to no matter what your circumstances are, loss, foreign country, she didn't even know the language of the teachers that were speaking at the meditation center. But it didn't matter. She just knew she had to be there. And she just kept going, and she was like a pit bull. She just never gave up. And once she latched onto the Dharma, and she used it in everything she did, her home life, uh, just everything, washing clothes, washing dishes. She really became known as the patron saint of householders. It was unusual at that time to see somebody who had achieved, because of her practice both at home and at the center. She only went to the center for like 5 or 6 days, sometimes a couple weeks. It wasn't like 3 month retreat or something. But she had incredible concentration that was also kind of part of her family lineage. And so she was able to go really deep, and then she'd go home and she'd apply the mindfulness in her daily life as well as combined with retreats. Some people ask, did she just do home practice? She did a combination of home and what we would call shorter retreats. Yeah. But it really was urgency. It really was do what you can. She would talk to, she worked with a lot of Calcutta housewives. And she would say, if you only have 5 minutes, do that. Practice on the weekends, get less sleep. She was really like fierce like that, but with a kind of gentleness too. And I think Howard Cohen, who's a teacher, he said it. She was like practice without regard for body and life, which was a statement U Pandita used to say, like your hair's on fire, just practice. But he said that Dipa Ma was practice without body, um, without regard for body or life, but with all the love in your heart.
Mm.
So it was this beautiful combination for her of the yin and the yang.
That's so beautiful.
You want to have that fierceness, but you also want to have the love and the attention that's there. So you're not blowing out your knees. You're not, you have awareness there about the loving kindness for your body, but as fierce as you can. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that was a new message because lastly, just to say, up until her, and I was aware because I'd started practicing early 80s, all the teachers were monastics. They were all monks. They were almost all men. especially the Asian teachers. No, there were no Asian women teachers. That you got all these monks who came over, and so Dipa Ma was this example for lay people like us who said, wow, you don't have to ordain. You can be a woman. You can be older. Her enlightenment didn't happen until she was 58. No, 53. 53. I mean, I know that's not old, but by the standards of that age, that was old.
Yeah.
And, she didn't really start practicing till her mid 40s, again, because she was prevented. So she really started later. So she really modeled that it's possible for anyone, and I'll say that too. And this might dovetail with some of your other questions, but she was like, she helped somebody who was bipolar awaken, who everyone had given up on because they thought, quote, he was crazy. And she was like, no, she believed in him. She said, you can do this. And he woke up, even though he had had a manic episode previously on a retreat. She helped a woman who had a very, very low IQ, couldn't even remember the instructions, would forget them halfway down her stairs. She had 4 flights of stairs, would come back up 3 or 4 times, kept having, she couldn't remember anything. She helped that woman awaken. She helped older people awaken, younger people, nieces and our, grandnephews and nieces. She believed in everyone. She didn't care whether you were male, female, young, old, intelligent, non-intelligent, have a mental health issue, not. She helped people with disabilities. It was like, hey, awakening is for everyone, everyone. And so that inclusivity was really just beautiful.
Mm.
Beautiful new example in the Dharma. It wasn't just for people who could ordain or go to Burma or were a certain age or so that was a breath of I think an important piece that she brought to not only the Western community but just Vipassana as a whole.
Mm, mm.
Yeah.
Wow, those are such inspiring stories and examples of really how accessible this practice can be, and to have someone like her just exemplify that through her own life. I'm so grateful for you lifting this up. One of my favorite stories, I know you had asked us, you wanted to know what our favorite stories from the book was. One of mine was in that kind of housing complex, that very busy, kind of very crowded, simple, working class place that she lived in Kolkata. You told the story of how she guided a woman named Malati, a widow with 6 children, and she couldn't go on retreat. She couldn't, have access to the forms of practice that, are supposedly what you need, right, to learn this. And in the book, you say that Dipa Ma told her to focus on the sensations of suckling when she would suckle her baby, because, how else could she practice but within her daily life? And so Malati did this and had gained stream entry within, a certain number of weeks, or I can't remember how long. And so that was just such a, without ever leaving her home, without ever going to a retreat center. And so that's just another, if you could just maybe say more about how, Dipa Ma practiced as a widow, a single mother in a very busy household. She was also raising her grandson, right? Her daughter's son. And then you know, how did she show that deep awakening is possible in the midst of ordinary life? Like,
Well, again, she just expected the extraordinary, and she just said like, don't think. She was always saying like, you think, oh, I'm a householder, I can't wake up, or oh, this circumstances will prevent me from going as far as I want to go in the practice. So she was really big about undoing thoughts. She used to laugh when people would come to her with the problems, and she would say, oh, it's only because you think you have this problem that you have it. Undo your thinking and you'll be fine. And so she really wanted to, she really would break expectations and people's beliefs about themselves. And, one was like, well, I'm a mom or I'm a householder and I've got all these responsibilities and I can't achieve like what the monks did. And she was like, oh no. And she had so much faith in people and so much love. And she had tremendous, like, she was like a force field. People often talked about like her energy was like this huge force field. And I think people woke up around her just because of this incredible force field energy. I mean, that happened in the Buddhist time. You keep reading the stories in the sutras going like everybody just seemed to like wake up. Buddha would say something and they'd have an enlightenment experience and you're like, what? But that actually happened a lot around Dipa Ma. One thing that blew me away while writing the book is everyone just started telling me their awakening stories with her. And I was like, wow. Like I hadn't expected to hear so many stories about stream entry or even defilements shifting or going away. I don't know. I thought I didn't think I would hear so much. And it clearly, the power of her presence shifted people to the next level and her faith in them, which, you asked me how this dovetails into the Christian tradition. And Adam, you might enjoy this, but, that sense of these powerful people like Jesus or great figures in Christianity, they just move people to the next level by their presence and their Christ-like energy. In her, it was this Buddha-like energy, and it was, it's why you want to be around gurus and saints because they can bring you to that level, next level. And I wouldn't say, just because she's gone, that means we can't access that. The power of her practice, the power of her spiritual urgency, Samvega and Pali, it's still here for all of us, and we can keep that alive and who we are.
Thank you. Absolutely. In the Plum Village tradition, we talk about being a continuation of those who've gone before us, right? That we can, by remembering them, by practicing what they taught us, by walking, in their footsteps, that we continue them in our own lives. And so, thank you for kind of giving us confidence to be Dipa Ma's continuation. We don't have to mourn that, we missed out on being in her presence, but all of her teachings are available to us. Thanks to you and your book and others, but that we can really touch what she was talking about.
Yeah, and that's another thing that really surprised me. So there were the Enlightenment stories. And the second thing was there were all these stories about people still connecting with her after she died. And I was just like, wow. Like, and then Manindra, who was still alive at the time when I was writing the book, we talked several times. He said, "Oh yeah, Deepama's in the realm of light." He knew. She has a body of light, and she's still like manifesting things. So, I mean, that's what he felt, and he said she's in the think it's called an anagami realm where somebody like a certain level of awakening, they go to a certain realm in the Buddhist cosmology. It's a kind of a heaven realm with a body of light. So he kept seeing that she was still influencing people. And people certainly, I mean, I've just had numbers and numbers of stories of people almost having like Dipa Ma appear, and just talk to them, especially when they're in a hard place. So I was surprised by that, like how many people who had never even met her, she like did like a visitation. And you can hear that sometimes with great saints like Ramana Maharshi has visited a number of people, Neem Karoli Baba sometimes. So you get these powerful saints, even after they die, they can have an influence. And it's not whatever you believe, but people certainly kept telling me of all these experiences, and I thought, well, there's definitely some kind of energy. We don't have to believe that there's a person there in another realm, but there's some kind of energy still available for us to tap into. The power of her practice is definitely still here. The power of the Buddha's practice is still here for you to kind of tap into here now. Of course, none of that goes away. Where would it go?
Right, right.
Yeah. So it's beautiful. Like I think, definitely utilize that with her. She wants to help everyone be free. I mean,
Mm,
that was her mission and when she had a body.
mm,
So she would welcome anyone's connecting to her, calling upon her. Yeah. So
mm,
it's not that unusual. I guess Kate Wheeler talked about in the Tibetan tradition, there's a real calling upon, your ancestors for support.
mm. Yeah,
So yeah, go ahead and do that. She'd love
I
it.
love that. I love that. So we can all add Dipa Ma to our spiritual ancestors
Yeah.
call list. Add her to your contacts. Call on her. Thank you we should always have the door open for, more wonderful bodhisattvas, saints,
Well,
incredible teachers.
Joseph Goldstein, he talked about it, and you might have read that in the book. He said when he does a meditation, he has all his teachers like in a tree, like a
Mm,
refuge tree.
mm,
And then he sits under the tree and he has them all there and he goes through and he says Deepa Ma is one of them. So
mm,
he's like sitting under this refuge tree and as he's meditating, he's just letting all their wisdom and love and truth
mm. Beautiful.
come through him as he sits under this big shade tree of the lineage, and Deepa Ma being one of the branches.
Such a
So,
beautiful, beautiful image. I'm gonna bring that into my practice for sure.
yeah, you
I
guys have a
just
lot of earth practice in your, it's nice.
Yes, yes, and um, because you brought up Munindra Ji, I just wanted to um, maybe invite you to share a little bit about him as her teacher, and also maybe connected to that question is just, could you say a little bit about how did she teach people? Like, did she teach everyone the same thing, or did she teach people like this person got that teaching and that person got that teaching? Like this, what you said about being inclusive was so beautiful. And I just wonder, like, how did she actually, what was her meditation instruction? How did she help people wake up?
Yeah. Well, she had the traditional because she was raised, she originally was taught in the Mahasi Sayadaw method. So the Burmese teacher Mahasi Sayadaw, who later U Pandita, was his one of his successors, but she was trained. She actually sat with Mahasi originally, and it was, the noting, the awareness of the breath rising and falling, like Adam talked about. Um, but then, like, so there was this strictness. That was a very strict practice, a very pared down, almost like Quaker, very simple. So she offered that kind of instruction, but then she like added her own twist to it, which was a lot of loving kindness. She had that fierceness. That tradition is very, very fierce. And then she she just added the householder component, like if you're ironing clothes, do med or loving kindness for the person you're ironing the clothes for. Don't just be like in rote, like ironing, moving hand, like bring in the meta of, oh, I love this person I'm ironing the clothes for. And to bring in that heart quality to everything you're doing. And she, at least one point, a couple times, she said that meta, loving kindness and mindfulness are the same thing. And I remember really when I first heard that, I'm like, wow, are they? And she said, when you're really loving and connected via metta or loving kindness, you're mindful. And when you're really mindful in a precise way, it ends up being loving. And so she really was this nice combination of the melding of those two, and really that they're one thing. I'd never heard that before, and that was a useful teaching for me in writing the book to see that that fierceness of that noting and that intention can also like flip to just this incredible connection, um, a loving connection that creates really oneness, almost like agape, I guess would be.
I love that. I once heard someone say mindfulness is inherently kind. You're
Mm,
not going to be mindful and then judging of what you're aware of, right? That it's just a natural, benevolence to that kind of awareness. So that's just so beautiful how you put that, and that the term I know Jack Cornfield and Tara Brach use sometimes is loving awareness also,
mm,
instead of just mindfulness or loving kindness.
that's perfect.
Yeah. Um, would you share more about her as a lay Asian woman, teaching, as you said, in this largely male monastic tradition? Kind of nobody had done what she was doing at that point. And how was she received? What did she open up for others because of, who she was and how she showed up?
Yeah. Well, interestingly enough, she really didn't get much discrimination, especially in the Myanmar monastic culture that was very patriarchal and monastic oriented. She never complained. There were no stories about her being upset about treated in a particular way. And actually, the monks asked her to teach and stay in Myanmar, but she decided not to because the Burmese government at that time, I think it was late 60s, they got quite hostile to foreigners, and it got quite, there were all these coups and takeovers, and it became a bit brutal, and she decided to leave, especially towards Indian foreigners. So, but the monks actually begged her to stay. They wanted her to stay and teach, and they said they'd take care of her. But she decided for her daughter's education, Deepa was about, I think, 14 or 15 then. She just thought, no, I don't want to be in part of this regime. So she left and went back to India. But so she was very well received. And I thought about, when you asked this question on paper, I thought it was because she was real and she had the real thing. She was the real thing. She embodied it 100%. And I think, you know, in Asian cultures, they really do respect realness. And in a way, it became irrelevant that she was a woman and that she was a lay person. They saw like this lady is got something special and she's awake and she really knows what she's talking about. She walks her talk, and they promoted her irregardless of her age, her fact that she was a foreigner, Indian, that she was a woman, that she was a householder. It was like, hey, you know what you're talking about. And I thought that was pretty neat. That really showed a testament to the willingness to see true awakening in someone, and the cultural issues were sort of overlooked for her, that could have been issues. So that was, it just shows the power of practice, and she didn't need to be recognized, but she got recognized because she walked the talk, and she was an amazing master, like doing things people had no one seen before. So they respected that. And that respect continued when she went to India. And even though, again, woman teacher, that respect continued. Indian culture is very good about when they recognize a saint or a guru, there's a real following there. So she did get that respect and connection even when she went back to. Actually, there's a funny story that she originally landed in India and she lived in the suburbs, right? And she said she tried to teach meditation and the suburban women weren't interested. So she got kind of bummed out. So she moved into the inner city to teach. And I think that was probably the only place she got rejected for her teachings was in the suburbs. So
Not enough suffering for
yeah,
people.
something. I don't know what it was, but I think about later, I'm like, wow, those ladies really missed out. They had
Yeah.
this saint in their midst and they
Mm.
weren't interested. So she like demanded that she get moved so she could teach. She really wanted to teach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Different kind of suffering somehow shared.
I guess suburbs
Yeah.
everywhere are the same. They can be.
That's so beautiful just to kind of, hear you talk about just the way truth just has a way of making a way for things to happen. Um, I wonder if you would share a little bit about, um, you mentioned all these, kind of the very special powers she had, and you write about that in the book, her kind of supernatural powers, and then you also share in the book, how at a certain point she gave those up. She said, well, these just aren't, necessary or sort of important for enlightenment. And so she stopped, um, sort of manifesting them. Um, and just, because when you were talking just now about how she really did become recognized and honored, like I was curious, I guess two things. Like how did she take in that respect? Like fame, or not probably fame, but that being in that elevated position. But also, could you speak to you know, how she moved away from sort of the more spectacular, aspects that she could have kept?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think from the very beginning, she had no interest or intention for those things. Power and even capabilities other than awakening, she had no interest in any of that. But it was Manindra's idea. Manindra recognized that she had incredible powers of concentration. Again, I said it was like a family thing. Um, and he wanted to try out whether she could do what's called the cities or the psychic powers. And so he took the Visuddhimagga and he used it like a cookbook on her or a science text. And he just wanted to see if he trained her in really deep concentration stage, could she develop these psychic powers that were talked about in this book? So for him, it was just a big experiment. She didn't care. She was just like, sure, you know. And so she did these powers for the duration that Manindra was teaching her and practicing. And then the minute she went back to India and he wasn't doing that anymore, she just let him go. She had zero attachment to any of this stuff. She was always she just was open. She just was here and he suggested, okay, sure, but no attachment to her, her student body or her fame, or she just was always just here. And she was just about practicing in the here now. Wasn't about what she'd achieved. It wasn't about trying to create some kind of goal or presence or student body or continue her powers or it was just complete humility and non-attachment to what she manifested. So it was very in the moment. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so she let go of him because she didn't, you know, he stopped being interested and she
Yeah.
didn't care.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. That's
But
it,
I didn't, it was interesting. I struggled writing the book whether to even include the psychic powers because I know they're controversial and I almost didn't include them. But then I thought at the last minute, I thought, they're part of her story, and who am I to leave out her story because I think people will judge it. And so, it was just part of all the stories I collected. So I did do a chapter about her paranormal powers, which, in Asian culture that like in Myanmar and India, that people are really drawn to that. It's like a big deal.
mm,
So that helped create like her fame too,
mhm,
because people had witnessed some of these things that she could do. She could
mm,
walk through walls, and they did it. Meninja did an experiment actually, where because she could be appear in one place, in two places at the same time. So he wanted to test it. So he had a student sitting with her while she was meditating, and then he was talking to this professor, and then she also showed up at the professor's place while the student was still watching her meditate somewhere like miles away.
mm,
And so he had fun with actually having other people witness and test it.
mm.
Um, but again, she just did it because he told her to. And,
Obedient student.
and she could, it was, you know,
Yeah.
she had zero
Mm.
attachment to it.
Yeah. Yeah. Wonderful.
But in the end, I'm glad I wrote about it. And, it's a very controversial chapter, but it was part of her history, and I'm glad I did include it in the end. And it doesn't matter what you feel or believe about it.
Mhm.
It was part of her history. So, and when you look at saints, Anna could probably say that it's common to see things like this, walking on water or
Mm.
she could walk through walls. Okay. Um,
Yeah.
what was fun, like, because I was raised Christian and I noticed writing the book that I was like, oh my God, she would qualify as a saint, because she definitely performed a lot of unusual things. And she healed somebody's 33-degree burns.
Mm.
And I couldn't write about all these in the book for different reasons why I couldn't share them.
Mm.
But she healed somebody's burns within a 3-degree burns within a week. And then she brought somebody back from the dead almost like, and then there were witnesses, and that person is alive to this day. And it was like, so right there, I think those are two miracles. I think walking through walls is probably a miracle. So she would have qualified as a saint
Mhm.
if she'd
Mhm.
been Catholic.
Mhm. Well,
So not that that
mm,
matters, but I
mm,
think it
mm,
just shows
mm, mm,
it shows the extraordinary power that of the Dharma itself, because she wouldn't want to make it about her.
mhm,
I mean, she said this, it is possible for anyone. She goes, if you really worked hard, supposedly all of us could have access to powers or,
mm.
deep healing abilities.
Yeah.
And she would point it all back to the Dharma. The power of the Dharma can create miracles,
Mhm, mhm.
not her. The power of faith
Yeah.
can create miracles. And she had tremendous faith. So she'd want you to have faith as well.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that and for the courage to keep those stories in the book and just to let readers wrestle with them however that happens for them. But I think it is so important to just, what I think is so powerful is that she had them and that she wasn't attached to them. She didn't identify with them. That's such a lesson right there for all of us, right? About really seeing ourselves. Whatever comes through us is not us, is not ours, is not, for us to grab onto, but to just, if it's a gift, we share it as a gift, and we let it go. So thank you for that. You mentioned if she were Catholic, she would be a saint. I would love for you to share more, because this is a gathering of people of many different faith traditions, Buddhist and Christian for sure, and beyond. But what aspects of Dipa Ma's life or teaching might resonate, especially with Christian practitioners or contemplatives, or people beyond the Buddhist lineages?
Well, I think this idea of being the love and the awareness, be still and know that I am God. I think Brother Lawrence was about washing dishes as and just that simplicity, be still and know that I'm God. Be here now. Be the love now. Be metta, loving kindness now. So it was just a very here now, simple. It's not later, it's not past. Um, and the love that's there too, that connection, that awareness combined with loving kindness. I think that's really all the teachings of Jesus, and she was all of that. But she had such a welcoming thing, she'd say to people, "You're all my Dharma children," and that so reminds me of Jesus, bring everyone gathering around and his love just embracing everyone of all, prostitutes and thieves and she just welcomed everyone, and she would say, "Oh, if you've not no place to sit, you can sit in my lap." She saw everyone as her Dharma children, and she didn't like leave out people because they had, say, problems in their lives, like I said, mental health issues or so that embrace of all beings, I think, really resonates with Christianity. Yeah.
Absolutely. What a lovely story. And one of the parts I loved so much reading in the book was how she had this practice of blessing people, maybe when they would leave, and just, stroking their body from head to toe, breathing on them, saying blessings over them. Just such a motherly, such a loving, like willing incarnate, right? Not just sitting on her cushion and saying things, but actually, like a mother, just caressing and enfolding people in her love.
Yes. She
Mm.
was the Divine Mother. It's interesting. We ended up having to do two books because the very first one we did, the distributor went bankrupt, and it was just a funny kind of long story, but I had to start all over again after it spent all this money on this first book. But I had paid for it all myself. And the first book we had, I was sitting at Snowmass. I did retreats with Father Keating when he was still alive. And they had a scene in this meditation hut I was staying in. It said, for the Divine Mother in us all and of us all. And I saw that saying and I was like, oh my God, that's Dipa Ma, the Divine Mother in us all and of us all. And it really resonated me. And this might be where the Buddhist and Christian really comes together at that snowmass retreat, that, oh, she's the Divine Mother. And she is all of us, male or female, it doesn't matter. And that how we can manifest that Divine Mother quality in all we do and all we are. And, she was a mother to so many, both kind of physically and spiritually. So, just really letting that Divine Mother energy, embracing that, like you're pointing to. And that would be a part of that merging of the Buddhist, the Christian, the all traditions.
Yeah.
So many traditions, even Hindu, have this divine mother. And again, it has nothing to do with femaleness necessarily. It's this quality of love and presence. Yeah.
So beautiful. And I love that you encountered that at Snowmass. That was a significant place for me where I did Zen retreats
Oh,
led
cool.
by the monks there. And Adam also practiced with Father Thomas Keating quite a bit. And so it's just lovely to feel the presence of those important people
So
here.
that quote was the dedication to the book, but then the second book, the new publisher took that out.
Okay.
The dedication was, sorry, I didn't complete that thought, to the Divine Mother in us all, of us all.
Mm.
But so it's nice to be able to share that with you because
Yeah.
things get cut out when you get new publishers and new projects.
We can all write it in our version
I'm
of
not in control.
Yeah, beautiful. Well,
Yeah.
I'll have my last question and then, oh, Adam, did you want to speak? Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you for, sharing so beautifully. And so nice that you're bringing up Snowmass. I don't know if you saw the story, but recently it was sold. And the monks, are moving to another monastery, which is very sad.
Mm.
And it was sold to a big sort of tech guy who runs one of the AI companies, Palantir, which is very sad, but it's such a special place. And I'm just grateful that you're bringing this. And also just the way you talked about her, there are so many sort of connecting points also with Christian saints, sort of as being able to call on them and them just kind of showing up in our lives. And even that thing that you talked about, the light body, the apparitions of Blessed Virgin Mary happening all over the world where people say that it's just like this woman who's made of light. And when they see her, it's like they've never seen anyone so beautiful, and they forget themselves when they do. All they can feel is this overwhelming love. And it's so nice for you to be pointing to that. I really appreciated that connection between, mindfulness and love, how the two are the same thing. So I just wanted to thank you for that because it's just so lovely to hear about Dipa Ma and to make those connecting points and to just really welcome her into this community as one of our special saints who bring that Divine Mother energy. So thank you.
Yes. Really want to give folks here a chance to connect with you for the next 10 or 15 minutes until we close.
Yeah.
So let me open up the
Wait.
just oh yeah,
Before
sorry.
we do
Go
the
ahead, go ahead.
question, Dorothy, can we do that little, do you have that or do you have the video?
Yes, I do. Hold on a
Oh,
minute. Let
great.
me
So I want to just
share my screen.
Oh, that
wait.
would be great.
Before we do, I want to just say that when I knew I was going to do this group and they said, well, what's her teaching? And I thought, I'm just going to do like a little photo montage. And then I wrote a poem that sort of relates to her teachings. So this is I think it's like 2 minutes or something. Yeah, 2 minutes. But I did this just for you guys. So I hope you enjoy. Yeah, go ahead whenever you're ready. Dipa Ma. Be the love. Be fierce, unbending, unbroken love now. Be the truth. Be fierce, unbending, unbroken truth now. Dipa Ma, here now. Buddha, here now. No room for thinking, no room for you. Only this. Don't worry about worthiness. Your story is only writing on the sky. Let your character go. Buddha, here now. Dipa Ma, here now. This is not a practice. It is a way of life. This is not a doing. There is no doer. The whole world is your retreat center. This moment is your cushion. Devotion is your guide. Everything is awake. Your awareness is awake. All is awake. You entered this world with no thoughts, and you will leave this world with no thoughts. Whatever comes, don't go back to sleep. Let the intention of 100% truth guide you. Like Dipa Ma, keep walking, unwavering, unshakable to your birthright. Love, truth, unbroken, here now. That's it.
There was such a transmission just looking in her eyes. Thank you for preparing
You're
the
welcome.
video for us, and we'll be sure to share it with everyone.
Yeah, and I'm gonna, Dipa Ma has a Facebook page. You'll see there's one that has like 10,000 people on it. And there's some that have less, but that's the one, and I'll share it on that today. So,
Wonderful.
yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dorothy. That was great.
So we have till the half an hour. Is that
Yeah,
when
so
you
we've
meant?
got
We've
about
got
8
like 10
minutes.
minutes for
Yeah,
questions if people
yeah.
have any
Thank you, Amita. So
questions.
yeah, if you have a question, you can raise your Zoom hand or, oh, I see Lakshmi is there. Please go ahead and unmute. Yes.
Hi.
Hi, Lakshmi.
Hi, nice to see you, Amita. It's been such a long time. And thank you, Kaira, Jewel, and Adam for holding the space and facilitating this. I feel so overwhelmed by how potent this gathering is. And yeah, it's nice to be reconnected to Dipa Ma as well. And Amita, I have a couple of questions for you. I was curious about whether Dipa Ma brought in elements of like devotional practice to the more than human world. And I'm assuming that the backdrop was Hinduism. When she was in India, I don't know how it was sort of throughout her own life, but I'm curious about that aspect. And then I'm also curious about, she obviously has a legacy here in the West and has made such an impression and had such an impact. And Um, I'm wondering if you know sort of how her memory and her legacy and her practice and like how it's still alive in India in those parts. If I was to make a pilgrimage there, where would I go?
That's a great question, Lakshmi. Unfortunately, somebody just asked me about this like this week. They wanted to go study her student group in India. And unfortunately, there really isn't much happening. I think since her daughter died, and most of the women, I think all the women she taught have passed. And it just hasn't really continued on. It's more alive in the West than there, from what I understand. Yeah. Her grandson has a lot of householder responsibilities and a full-time job. And so there isn't, you don't have the lineage getting carried on, which is unfortunate. So you're it. So we have to continue it. But there's an interesting thing. When I first wrote the book, I felt like she's going to get a cult status, kind of like Rocky Horror Picture Show. I always felt like, oh my God, people are going to have like a cult. And there is a cult connection that comes up, like people all over the world. The book's been translated into like 14 different languages. So there is like kind of almost like Lakshmi, kind of a world thing of people who are really devoted to her and do her practice in small groups like this, or so it turned more global than her local community, which she probably would be really happy about that. And certainly, at Spirit Rock, she's in the meditation hut, what is it, the gratitude hut for teachers. And, a lot of her energy continues on. Um, and people still are remembering, different people all over are remembering her. And so it's not in that particular community. Yeah. Devotion was a big part, because she was raised Buddhist, they had a pagoda near where she grew up, and she would go and offer flowers and wash the monks' feet. And her family was very generous, and they were always giving alms. And when her and her husband were in Myanmar, they were always giving to less advantaged families and kids. And so this generosity, I think generosity is devotion, that this generosity, this devotedness to helping all beings and everyone around you was really there. And I know that's part of the Christian tradition too, Adam, that sense of giving to the poor and giving to others. So that was, I think she had a real deep devotion, the giving back to everybody. Um,
Thank you.
it's great to see you.
Likewise.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Lakshmi. Shall we take one more question? If there's another one in the group, you can raise your Zoom hand or let us know raising your hand. Okay. Thank you, Amita, so much for taking the time to be with us and share so deeply and beautifully from your heart. I guess if I could just ask one last thing is like, how has your life changed because of your encounter with Dipa Ma? I mean, you were sort of charged from beyond, you know, Dipa Ma's, you know, living form. She was still inviting you maybe to write this book, but how has your encounter with her changed you?
I think because of her consistent fierceness, and she really believed that you should never give up the Dharma and that you should practice very fiercely. So I think I've kept that consistency for almost 40 years because she would have wanted that, and that was what she believed in, was like, but not in like an over efforting sort of way, but just this sense that you never give up the Dharma. You always stay connected. You practice whenever you can. You apply the precepts. You work every angle of deepening and awakening this lifetime. And because of her strength and writing about her, I think, um, I couldn't like write about her and then be like a lazy practitioner, you know. She would have been mad about that. So I kind of had to get in line with her philosophy. I mean, I kind of already was in that groove, but it really made it so that I've consistently really never lost connection with the practice. Joseph
Mm,
Goldstein said one time, he said, make sure every day it's like a river you go down and you put your toe in. And that's like such a gentle way of saying it, but he's like, don't ever have a day go by when you don't touch the Dharma in a way you put your toe in that river.
mm,
And she would just say, like, jump in that river, make sure you take a bath in it for, a certain amount of time every day.
mm,
So it's that sense of every day has to be connected somehow to the Dharma. And then you string up this consistency week after week, year after year.
mm.
So I really learned about that from her. Yeah,
Mm, mm,
yeah.
mm. Oh, well, this is so inspiring, and just thank you for bringing her alive. I really feel like she's more with me and us now
Hmm.
than before we were in this conversation with you. So just deep, deep gratitude to you for your time being with us and just for the dedication of 12 years to make this book become a reality and then having to sell it to another publisher, going through all of that. Just that just shows such dedication and commitment, and we all benefit so much from that. So deep gratitude to you, Amita.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you both. And
Hope
thank
our
you to
path.
the whole group. This is where the practice comes alive in Zen Sangha.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, and we hope to continue to cross paths with you. Um, so I'm going to share my screen. If you need to head out, we understand. We're going to end with our usual Bodhisattva uh, prayer, Christian Buddhist Bodhisattva prayer. Um, and I'll share my screen. Oops. Do you all see a portion? I'll make it bigger.
It's
And Adam and I will read, and you feel free to read along with us.
okay. Let us pray. Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is discord, union. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is confusion, clarity. Where there is sadness, joy.
May I become at all times, both now and forever, a protector of those without protection, a guide for those who have lost their way, a ship for those with oceans to cross, a bridge for those with rivers to cross, a sanctuary for those in danger, a lamp for those without light, a place of refuge for those who lack shelter, and a servant to all in need. For as long as space endures, and for as long as living beings remain, until then may I too abide to dispel the misery of the world.
O Divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled um, and to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive, it is in pardoning that we are pardoned, and it is in dying that we are born to eternal life. Amen.
Amen. So, once again, thank you, Amita, for joining us, and thank you, everyone, for your presence here. Feel free to unmute and share your gratitudes. We'll also put our Dana links in the chat and a reminder that Andrew Young will be with us next month in April. But thank you again, Amita, and feel free to share.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Gratitude.